What is up, Mets fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Mets'd podcast. Technically, at the time of recording, the Mets have not finished up a series, but we know the Mets have won the series against the San Francisco Giants, taking the first 2 of 3. The reason I'm introing this is because I'm actually playing in a baseball game for charity out in Portland against the Portland Pickles. So James is going to be doing the Game 3 recap all by himself, flying a little solo.
All right, there's still going to be a bigger Game 3 recap in a little while later in the episode, but I just wanted to come on quickly at the beginning because, wow, that was such a sick game. And sweep, big sweep, awesome sweep. And Ronny Mauricio put the team on his back. It's so cool to watch this guy and the raw talent, like the crazy potential that he has. This is like the second or third time this season he's fully taken over a game. That home run off Randy Rodriguez was just so ridiculously insane. Like the way he got his hands inside that slider, put the ball into the cove like willing it fair. Carl Ravitch kind of ruined it with a really bad call on Sunday Night Baseball, but that's neither here nor there. Can't do anything about it. But just so crazy to see that from Ronny Mauricio. First 4-hit game of his career. All 4 of those balls were hard hit balls. He put his OPS from his 670 to his 760 in just the one game. Only came 1 base short of a cycle. I really wish he would have pushed that double to a triple late just to see what could have happened. But just wow. Oh, also cute as hell after the game where he said he actually wanted, or I think Soto said it, that Ronny really wanted to put the ball into McCovey Cove, and the fact that he actually did that. And it's just like Mauricio and Alvarez really drove this game early on, like being the guys at the bottom of the order. They got us the first run with the back-to-back doubles. Seeing Alvarez get a couple more hard hit balls is great. And then, of course, can't even say anything else without mentioning Soto hitting the go-ahead home run. While the Giants fans chanted overrated, which is really, really funny. Also, another home run off Randy Rodriguez. He had like 1 or 2 total home runs this whole season given up heading into this game. He's like pound for pound, truthfully, 100% honestly, one of the best relievers in baseball, so it's sick. And now seeing like little friendship forming between Soto and Mauricio is cute as hell too. Both like talking about each other in their post-game press conferences. Soto saying that he's been like spending a lot of time with Ronny, loves the the adjustments, the improvements he's made recently. It's that cool like veteran rookie vibe that you like to get in a team like this as you get towards this part of the season. But also it's like really easy to forget that they're only like 2.5 years apart in age, which is really funny. But all right, back to the regular show. I got more Game 3 stuff later. Got some Senga, got some Gregory Soto, lots of good nuggets. Back to the regular show real quick.
But the first 2 games of the series, able to watch, able to see while we're recording this, and a lot to talk about. It was a great start to the series out in San Francisco. Mets playing good baseball. Mark Vientos swinging the bat. Team stealing bases, playing good ball. We're going to talk about everything as we always do, as well as the Gregory Soto acquisition. We haven't gotten a chance to talk to you guys about it. Me and James have opinions. You guys want to hear them. So let's get going into it. Make sure you follow us on all our social media at Mets'd on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Subscribe to the Mets'd Podcast YouTube channel to see the video version of this. And if you are listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. James, how we doing? How's Midnight Mets been treating you? Because over here, it's just 7 p.m. Mets. It's not crazy like Midnight Mets.
Yeah, I kind of feel bad for you. You've lost a 1 weekend of Midnight Mets this season because the Midnight Mets in New York have been fantastic. 2 really well-played games, 2 fun games, kind of a blowout win on Friday, a tight, nail win on Saturday where it was nice, this is a fun thing. You also buried the lead a little bit. We're going to talk about the Luis Robert, Mark Vientos rumors. That's a huge story. We're going to get to that. Don't think that.
Wait, is that a...
What?
Is that a real rumor?
Bob Nightingale said it with his mouth.
Oh.
Yes. I think on Worthy's stream.
Oh, I missed that part. Shout out Wardy for getting that little scoop. Oh, yeah, that's really important. Let's definitely talk about that.
100%. So quick on the first 2 games, and like Mark said, I'm gonna channel my Mike Francesa, Colin Cowherd, just do a little solo talking about Game 3 when that's over Sunday Night Baseball. Thank you to ESPN for flexing that and not allowing Mark and I to have to section off this podcast. But the 2 games were great. We got good starting pitching, first from Clay Holmes and then from David Peterson, both in their own weird, unique, funny ways where they both gave up heaps of hard contact. Nobody got strikeouts. Everything found gloves, and everything worked out perfectly in the end. And I think that there was some weird fear about how the game began for Clay Holmes because Elio Ramos, Rafael Devers, Willie Adames, everyone was all over him from basically the first pitch of the game. And it was another start where you're just he's kind of gritting his teeth and getting his way through this, but it's still just not giving up runs, which was hilariously the nexus of the whole Clay Holmes experiment and why we thought it could work, where it's he doesn't even need to have great stuff to be good just because of how literally the sinker and enough of the array of pitchers often moves. So it's kind of, I don't know. It's kind of there's been a lot of Clay Holmes discussion about should he stay in the rotation, what's actually going to happen with him. I think the best thing to do is just keep riding this out.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in Clay Holmes as a rotation guy. I completely agree with you. Keep riding it out until you can't. This was the exact Clay Holmes start, like you mentioned, of why you liked him as a starter because they don't make the greatest contact. It might be hard, but when it's hard, it's on the ground. They don't really put too much in the air hard against him. And that's a great thing when you're a pitcher like Clay Holmes. He gets the double plays. He gets out of it. He gets soft contact as well, a ton of it. And that was a huge help in this game. While the first inning was a nightmare, throwing 30 plus pitches and you couldn't get a swing and miss on anybody, to settle in, which sounds crazy, for the next 4 and get through 5, especially when Mendoza made a ballsy decision, but I loved it. I loved it in the moment. They needed Clay Holmes to get 5, and I think for the development and progression for Clay Holmes as a starter, he needed to get through that 5th inning where he went back up against the top of the order for a 3rd time and ended up putting them down, leaving guys on base. I think that was huge for Clay Holmes. I think that was huge for the Mets. And just for the vibes in general, massively important that he was able to succeed when given a challenge.
And that's probably not something you do if it's a 1-run or even a 2-run game if you're Carlos Mendoza. But the fact that the Mets were winning 6-1 is just like, we need this inning right now. And I think that the questions now with Clay Holmes are going to come his next scheduled start, which is supposed to come in San Diego on Wednesday afternoon, which would be on regular rest after he just threw over 100 pitches. The most pitches he's thrown this season, and the first time he's gotten to 100, I'm going to pull up the game log right now. I want to say since May. No, he did it one time in June. He tied 104 pitches in June. Before that, the last time was May 26th. It's the 3rd time he's gotten over 100 pitches this season, once a month. Maybe that's just the whole thing. Clay Holmes can do 100 pitches once a month.
Well, the funny thing, too, is he mentioned after the game, they talked to him about going over 100 pitches. He's like, yeah, it felt like I threw 100 pitches. Like, I was gassed. Like, I was feeling it. But that's kind of okay. 100 pitches is a lot. Like, I like the honesty of him, of being like, that was a hard start, and I'm glad I got through it.
Totally. And again, that's a valuable inning when you're winning by so much. You don't want to let the other team in the game, of course, but the way this bullpen's been, just the fact that we still didn't have Soto for a few days, Gregory Soto, we got to start giving more descriptions on when we say the word Soto now. I can't believe the Mets didn't think of the podcasters and they made this trade. Unbelievable by them. But it's a
Sleepy Stearns at it again. Didn't think of us.
It's also the Clay Holmes, like we mentioned, just the batted ball quality against him. Like, sure, everything was hit hard. 11 of the 18 balls in play were on the ground. 3 more were very lazy pop-ups. Just like when you have that, when the quality of contact is just like, what's the word that we use with Murph? Trajectory? When you have that kind of
trajectory,
the breadth of contact trajectory, it's very hard for the team to sustain a rally against you, unless, which always happens to Clay Holmes rallies, just a few of the ground balls find their way through holes. And likes to happen a lot with Clay Holmes this year. The velocity did dip through the middle innings. He threw 1 sinker right at 90, but also his last few sinkers were back to 94, 93, which is like, if he's there, it's fine again. So I'm at this point where I think a lot of people are like, the way that the deadline is shaping up right now, they're like, why not just trade for a starter and put Clay Holmes back in the bullpen? I don't know if I want this version of Clay Holmes in the bullpen, truthfully. Or I don't know if I want this version of Clay Holmes, like reducing himself quickly to a 1-inning guy. Like, I think if Clay Holmes tapers down and he becomes like the role I've always envisioned for somebody, but they never give to someone, where it's like Clay Holmes can throw 50 pitches, 60 pitches. He might not be a starter. He might not be a reliever, but he's just like a sponge in the middle. I think that this version of Clay Holmes, I think it'd be weird for him to shake off the rust and be like the relieving rust and be like, now I'm going to air it out for 25 pitches. I think that would be I don't think that would be as seamless of an adjustment in season as it's possibly made out to be sometimes.
Oh, I totally agree with you. I think also for developmental purposes too, I think it's a weird thing mentally and physically to have to go through, like you mentioned, of being stretched out, going 100 pitches, and like actually go back to throwing close to 100 miles an hour for 20 pitches backs at a time.
Very different.
I think we know that Clay Holmes in the postseason is not going to be a starter for this team. I think the role that you just mentioned is more likely, especially because with Senga and with Minaya and with David Peterson, like those are your 3 guys, and you kind of figure out who's hot for that 4th, and maybe they go out and grab someone. I don't think they will. Maybe that guy's Frankie Montas. Maybe it's Clay Holmes in a shorter stint, in a shorter role. But I do think the plan for Clay Holmes, and the reason why they signed into this multiple-year contract, was to make him as a starter. The Mets want him to be a starting pitcher. And as much as maybe he could have value, I totally agree with you. I don't think the transition back to being bullpen is going to be seamless. And I do think a lot of the hard work that you did this year to make him into a starter almost becomes less of an impact if you then use him in that role again towards the end of the season, outside of like World Series where all hands on deck, you do everything kind of thing.
Yeah, of course. But we're more so talking about like the battle for the next 2 months, like the August-September battle. Yes. I think he has his most value as, a guy, again, even if it's slightly abbreviated in the slightly abbreviated starter's role. Flip side of this, I think the big story of this game, more so than Clay Holmes, I think Clay Holmes, the story is kind of like more like overarching about what's going to happen for the rest going forward. The fact that the Mets jumped on Logan Webb, how many times have we seen Logan Webb in the last 5 years pitch against this Mets team and completely eviscerate them? Last year,
Did you hear Gary?
yeah, that's hilarious. Last year, there was 1 month where Logan Webb threw 15 innings against the Mets and gave up no earned runs.
Kratz, at some point, we're going to laugh about how healthcare was so reactive and not proactive. And we're starting to change that with Superpower. They believe every human has 100+ year potential, and they're here to help you get there. I'm a big believer in this. I just started the journey, so I'm excited about it. And what do you think?
As a player, you're always looking ways to improve yourself, improve your health. And this is an easy way. Superpower's made it way easier than when I was playing. You had to go get all these lab panels, and it was a long, drawn-out, expensive process. But now with Superpower, so this is awesome for me. I'm excited about it.
They'll send a licensed professional to your home, or you can visit a nearby lab. For a limited time, the FT fam can get $50 off an annual Superpower membership by using code FOUL at checkout. Just head to superpower.com and use code FOUL to get our exclusive discount. Your biology decoded, your blueprint activated with Superpower. After your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them, and please support FT and tell them we sent you.
Yeah, and I think coming into the game, he had gone 19 straight innings without giving up an earned run. And they immediately jumped on him in the first inning, which I loved, especially for a guy like Logan Webb. Keith was making a great point of it. I think he was actually spot on. Logan Webb's mechanics were off. He was rushing. He was throwing from a more sidearm spot, which meant the sinker wasn't really getting any sink. It was getting a lot of run. And the Mets hitters identified that early. They were patient. And when he made that mistake and had to throw in the zone in those hitter counts, they jumped all over him. I was watching the game on the plane. Couldn't believe the Wi-Fi was good enough to actually stream in good quality. I was super pumped about that. And I was fist pumping. I almost bought a beer on the plane because I'm like, man, we're jumping all over Logan Webb. Like, flying into a new city. It's a great vibe right now.
So while Keith was really on point with all that analysis, just classic old man Keith stuff. I don't know if you caught this with the plane Wi-Fi. He called Logan Webb Brandon Webb like twice.
No, I missed that.
That was a funny one. That one really super killed me. But in that first inning, again, Logan Webb, exactly like he said, never got on top of that sinker. He threw 10 sinkers in the first inning. 0 of them were below the belt. And most of them were at the leathers. Like, that's not where Logan Webb wants to be. And that created ability for, especially Pete had that ball off of a high sinker for no reason. Like, I think Nimmo at the beginning of the game was surprised to see a high sinker. Then they all started being like, all right, let's hit them. But then after that, Webb was kind of forced to throw his changeup in the zone, and that also gave up that allowed some good pitches for the Mets to hit. But they were all over him early in this game. I was shocked to see that. But I think another thing that the Mets did while they were on Logan Webb, while they were pressing him, something I talked about on Twitter a lot this weekend, was just what are you pointing to?
In his fucking head.
Oh, yeah. It's just running on him nonstop. Logan Webb this season has been one of the better pitchers in terms of holding runners on base. He's not like a guy like David Peterson, actually, in terms of baseball savants, like net bases prevented. He's number one. He's the best pitcher this year holding runners on. It's amazing. The leads that hitters get on David Peterson are under 2.5 feet this year on average.
That's crazy.
Disgusting. This baseball savant leaderboard is amazing.
That's so small.
But on Webb, even for a right-handed pitcher, his lead against him was about 4 feet, and the secondary lead was under 11 feet, which for right-handed pitchers, that's better than league average. And his net bases prevented are in the top 20 of the whole league. He'd given up 4 total stolen bases entire season, especially with him and the tandem of Patrick Bailey, who's one of the best defensive catchers in the league. And the Mets said, fuck that. We're stealing nonstop. Antoine Richardson was calling out these tells, and Beatty, who else got the stolen base? It was Beatty, it was Tyrone Taylor. We were getting these running leads out of absolutely nowhere. Webb they had no answer for it. And he was clearly visibly frustrated by it. Lindor had one too. Nimmo, Beatty was the hit and run with Alvarez. Like, it was just go, go, go. And that's something that he hasn't dealt with this year. And something that seems like really worked to our advantage.
Yeah, old school baseball head, like you said. You get the pitcher frustrated because he's not throwing strikes. He loses track. He's not focused on the guys on the base. The guys on the base start running. They get into scoring position. He gets mad. A single now scores a run. The Mets just played a really, really clean baseball game. Whatever the game plan for that one was, it was flawless. They executed it beautifully. Obviously, it helped that Logan Webb wasn't sharp. But as soon as they recognized that, they did not take their foot off the pedal against Logan Webb. They jumped all over him. They made him feel uncomfortable. It's a rare moment. And especially, Logan Webb is a head case. This guy is a nut job. He has gone on Twitter before, talked in people's DMs, talking shit. He was, I think, popped for PEDs when he was in the minors. Like, this guy's a fucking head case. He's nuts. He is like the sneakiest suspension ever in the minor leagues that no one ever talks about. It's either PEDs or weed, one of those two. But like,
what would you prefer? What do you think looks better for Logan Webb for the next 5 years? I'm negotiating a dynasty trade for him at this exact second.
What looks better for him over the next 5 years? Oh man. PEDs, I don't know. Getting caught with weed in the minors, like you're an idiot.
Yeah, because I feel like PEDs, if you're this far past a PED suspension, it's like who cares at this point? Like you've proven
that was clearly to get over an injury, if anything, was the PED stuff, which is always typically
or even get over the hump and something like that.
Bad.
But it's also,
it was great to see that they just did jump all over him, and he was visibly frustrated.
And great to see it from, again, Antoine Richardson, who's been one of the unsung heroes of this team. Every time someone has a press conference, they talk about their success stealing bases, because everyone on this Mets team, except for Pete, which is kind of ironic, is setting career marks in stolen bases, especially stolen base efficiency. He's turned Brandon Nimmo into like a base stealer, someone who can run. I heard Trevor May talking on Rates and Barrels this past week about the difference in baseball players between speed and agility, and how that's a huge part of stealing bases and something that doesn't get translated very well. He said Brandon Nimmo runs like a fullback. He said if you ask Brandon Nimmo to turn while he's running, it's going to take like 5 minutes to do it. But then he talks about a guy like Chandler Simpson, who's just so fluid and so like agile. He runs like a slot receiver. But what Richardson's done in understanding the tells of every individual pitcher. And this is also a beautiful thing about this Mets coaching staff and this Mets team. I think the Mets Davis Stearns might get a lot of undue shit from Mets fans for being like too analytically minded, but it's very clear having guys like with Mendoza, with someone like Richardson in the coaching staff. Like this is humanistic scouting. Like this is not video stuff. This is not any AI robot bullshit. Like this is Antoine Richardson studying the tape of every single one of these pitchers in the league and knowing exactly what they do when they make their pickoff moves and knowing when those pickoff moves are coming or not. As of the end of the game on Friday, Mets had an 89% stolen base success rate, which is by far the best in the league. That's as a top 10 team this year in terms of raw volume stolen bases. And that's while, based on Baseball Savant, we are the second slowest team in the league on average spin speed. It's what he's been able to do with these guys running on the bases is so cool. And you see the flip side of this with the Giants, where they've stolen 2 bases this month at a time when their offense is kind of there's a lot of good players in this Giants lineup, but they're struggling for a spark and they're struggling to string things together. Would be a great time to try and steal some bases here and there, which is funny because Buster plays in charge. So I feel like he would be on top of these things. But it's crazy how much of a difference him as a first base and outfield coach has made this season.
Yeah, I loved your little tweet you threw up on Mets'd of the best first base coach in baseball history. And then I thought it was super funny seeing some of the old heads reply, being like, what about, you don't remember this guy? And it's like, oh my God, like this is a tweet. We got to relax.
No, I mean, the intern was buzzing this weekend. Messed up Twitter was on fire. But also,
apologies to the intern.
On the other side of that too, I don't want to disparage anybody who used to be in this organization, so I'm not going to say names, but you guys can connect some dots. Remember when we were spring training a few years ago and we worked with the Mets, and we saw like some of the outfield drills that were going on, and we saw specifically Tommy Pham, who we know left his team in a huff, and afterwards complained about preparation and everything that was going on internally. And then seeing a guy like Antoine Richardson, who one as the first base coach is a marvel. He's awesome. Ridiculously good. 2, seeing someone like Jeff McNeil make strides in the outfield. We know that Mark Salbos had some interesting takes and sends this year at third base, but like watching Brett Beatty play second, it feels like there's such an influence. The improvements of Pete Alonso too, and like working with Mark Vientos as his first baseman. The influence of this coaching staff is incredible. Desi Druschel, we heard him get shouted out by Francisco Lindor the other day, talking about Gregory Soto coming in. We heard this
major bump.
Assistant pitching coach mentioned by the star player after a relatively high leverage middle reliever was traded for. It's like, what? That's like not shit that most teams have to go with. So it's so cool that we talk about this all the time, like the synergy, I hate to use that word, but the cohesion with this coaching staff and front office. Like it's a major advantage I feel like we have over a lot of other teams that does not get talked about enough.
It's funny, like, what was it, a week ago when Mendoza made those crazy decisions with Carrillo and stuff? Me and you were both like, I don't see the vision. Like, where's the process? And now in a game like that we've seen the last 2 against the Giants, we're like, fuck yeah. Like, that's the process. That's what we've been waiting for. That's when and it's probably not fair, too, because we picked a game that they lost and 2 games that they won.
Sometimes we have to lash out. We're fans, too.
Yeah, sometimes we got to lash out. But also, like, I think it was evident the process of what this team is built on, what this team is attempting to do. That's what good baseball teams do, and the Mets are a good baseball team.
Yeah, 100%. And even just like the way this game started, like we kind of glossed over that Logan Webb first inning, but just like Lindor and Nimmo getting on base, and then just like we talked about Murphy last week, the situational awareness of Soto and Alonso, 2 run-scoring outs. I was like, yes, I was so pumped up for run-scoring outs there. And then the way you're able to extend this lead, Rico Garcia, shout out Rico Garcia. I'm so happy he's back. But him and the rest of this middle relief holding the lead in check, that allows you to move to a game now on Saturday that you know is going to be another tough fought affair because you're facing another really good pitcher in Robbie Ray. You have your horse on the mound, David Peterson. But the mixture of Rico Garcia and Jose Castillo not letting anything happen, Rico Garcia especially, again, heaps of credit to Rico Garcia, the glob of chaos legend. But then to get to the game on Saturday in a tough fought, tooth and nail baseball game that truthfully, you have almost no business winning whatsoever. To then be able to have a well-rested Reed Garrett, a Ryan Stanek, who seems like he's finally turning the corner just a teeny tiny bit, and then hand the ball to Edwin Diaz for Pete Alonso to make a game-saving play. It's just like, wow, like the good win on Friday, the fruits of that carry over to the tight win on Saturday. That's how you're able to win both games and have a chance. Because again, we haven't gotten there yet. I'll give you guys the solo recap for that in a second. Win a series against a good team in their home ballpark. Like those little tiny things are what adds up to make yourself a good baseball team.
Yeah, and even more on top of it, you got Mark Vientos, who, according to Twitter, keeps boosting his trade value as he keeps getting these big hits for the Mets late in these games. Mark Vientos came through. That's the Mark Vientos we need to see. Do we have a swing speed on what that was?
Pulling it up right
because I got a feeling he's swaying harder than he does all year.
73.5, not really.
But that is faster by 3 still.
By his average, yeah.
Is.
It's also still not considered like the fast swing, which is over 75 miles an hour, which is where he sat last year. It was also the hardest hit ball in this game. Again, Mark's talking about the 2-run double off of Robbie Ray in the 6th inning after the Mets had fallen behind.
He's got to mash lefties.
That's
it. Like, if he can just mash lefties, he has value to this team. But until he does that at a consistent enough rate, we still have our doubts.
Are we going to talk about the possible trade right now? Is that how we're going to do it?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's talk about it.
So Bob Nightingale's mentioned, again, shout out to our guy Worthy for having Bob Nightingale on the stream. That's a sick pull. We've talked about all the time,
awesome.
like how much we want to I don't even know if I want to make content with Bob Nightingale. Just hang out with Bob Nightingale.
Have a beer with Bobby.
A few beers with Bob Nightingale, see where the night takes us. But this is an interesting trade proposition, and it's Mark Vientos for Luis Robert Jr. Apparently, the White Sox, as Bob Nightingale said, are in love with Mark Vientos, and apparently that they're drawing a hard line still a few days before the trade deadline that they want Mark Vientos in any trade for Luis Robert from the Mets. I know that you love Luis Robert. I also like Luis Robert a lot, but in terms of pure value, this is definitely a weird conversation to have. Nothing says summer like long days, clutch plays, and firing off a few bets on the game, all with the DraftKings Sportsbook. Never bet on baseball before? It's easy. Pick a guy to go yard, hammer some live odds mid-game, or just ride with your squad and hope for the best. No spreadsheets, just vibes and dingers. Here's something special for first-timers. New DraftKings customers bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code FOUL. That's code FOUL for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY at 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
You see what I'm doing?
What are you doing?
I'm driving Mark Vientos to Chicago right now. I'm bringing him there. I'll take him to the South Side. I understand. I think we can have that conversation of the value, right? Mark Vientos has four full seasons left. Let's just say 4 full seasons. Who cares about the half year thing, right? 4 full seasons left under team control, and he's never really going to make a ton of money just because he doesn't put up those numbers like that. And he's never going to. He's never going to be a WAR guy. We know that arbitration pretty much tracks to WAR now. He's never going to be a high WAR guy. So he's going to be pretty cheap for the next 4 years. If you have the Mark Vientos of last year, that's valuable. That's unbelievably valuable to have that player for 4 years. You have the Mark Vientos of this year. He has no value. He hurts the team. You have the in-between, which is, I think, where's a fair place to be, of Mark Vientos is not 2024. He's not 2025. He is probably a 750 OPS guy who has the ability to hit 25 to 30 home runs a year if things are going right, right?
That was the 2024 guy. You just exactly described
No,
him.
he had an 850 OPS. He was much better than that last year. And he hit 270.
Last year, Mark Vientos' OPS was, I don't think, was it 850? There's no way. Oh, it was 837. Yeah, I guess what I was saying.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I'm picking the in-between, we're still going to see the home run power numbers, hopefully, even though we technically haven't seen that at all this year. So maybe he's more of a 20 home run guy, but does that change the conversation then? I just think that for a Mets team, and I think Major League Baseball feels very open this year. I know the National League still runs through the Dodgers, but the Dodgers have shown that they are very much a human baseball team. Mookie Betts, the way that he's playing, Freddie Freeman slowed down a little bit. Otani's unbelievable. Will Smith's unbelievable. That team is still the best team in baseball, and you go through the Dodgers if you're going to win the World Series. But everything in my gut and my heart tells me that I think Luis Robert could be Cespedes like when they make a trade for him. You bring him in, he's going to play elite center field defense, which is not something that we need, but that's a bonus. At the absolute worst, I keep saying this, he is better than Tyrone Taylor. He is a better player than Tyrone Taylor, and that center field defense alone might be more valuable to this Mets team than Mark Vientos is right now, especially with how this roster is constructed. On top of it, the change of scenery for Luis Robert, I can't stress enough how much it must have fucked with his head, where he gets called up, he's a superstar instantly, the White Sox are incredibly successful. This looks like a team that he's going to be a part of for years and years to come. They're going to have success. They had a great manager. Then Tony La Russa comes in. Then they start playing like shit. And all of a sudden, Luis Robert, just a sheer 3-4 years later, looks around, is not only on the worst team ever in Major League Baseball, but he also goes, where are all my friends? Where did all my guys go? I'm playing with Andrew Benintendi every day. This guy stinks. Andrew Vaughn's getting reps at first base every single day, and he's got a 38 WRC plus. Like, what is going on? What happened to this team? I don't love that could be a reason why he's playing poorly, but at the same time, I would love to be the team that gives Luis Robert a chance to prove that he still has something left in the tank, because the top-end talent that he has is almost impossible to find. And that top-end talent for a guy like Mark Vientos, to me, it's a no-brainer.
Well, then the flip side of this is that you said something left in the tank. That's a weird conversation to have about a 27-year-old.
For sure.
So I think he's turning 28 actually, like within the next month. But that's the part that, to me, that's weird, because how good does Luis Robert have to play for the rest of the season to warrant picking up a $20 million option? I can't really figure out that line, because...
Oh, I can figure it out easily.
How good?
750 OPS.
And you think 20 mil? I mean, I feel like this front office...
For that defense and a guy who showed like 750 OPS, and I think he'll be better than that. I truly do think he'll be better than a 750 OPS, but setting realistic expectations. I think that's the line of, if he can be a 750 OPS guy who's going to give you 25 home runs a year with elite center field defense, how different is that than Mark Vientos and playing bad defense at third base, position we don't need him at, where he's truly a first baseman?
The difference is the $20 million versus the team control, which is why I do think...
I don't know.
No, but
Poor people problems.
What you're saying, yeah, but that's not how the front offices think. You know that. Like, that's how you're thinking.
Of course, but
like,
that's how I think.
That's what I'm saying. So I think that there's a big part of this trade conversation, which is why, like, for some reason, also Mark Vientos was floated for Dylan Cease, because it's the idea that you could get 4 years of someone that could be fine, solid, even good at times, for what could be just 50 games of it. Because I don't know how likely the Mets would be to pick up that Robert option unless he goes ape. Because, like, how many center fielders do you make $20 million right now? You know, like,
not many, but Harrison Bader did get paid like 12, and
Yeah.
we did pay Harrison Bader $10 million last year. And Harrison Bader, while he's having a good year offensively, has never even come close to the heights offensively of Luis Robert. And defensively, Bader is better. There's no doubt. Robert's never reached his heights.
Robert's still
but
sick.
I think I was about to say, I think the defensive gap is a lot closer than the offensive gap is. So for me, I think, honestly, even if he is like a 750 OPS guy or whatever, I think you give him the one-team option, and then you see again what happens next year. I don't really think it's nearly as bad as people are making it out to be for a guy who could be such a difference maker. Like, I just think he changes his team so much.
I don't think so either. And I also will give you some contract comparisons right now to kind of let people see what $20 million does get for an outfielder on the open market. So this past year, Tyler O'Neill, who has like a 650 OPS, he signed a 3-year, $50 million deal, $16 million a year.
Yeah, he don't play center field.
I was like, okay, I'm going to keep going. Michael Conforto this year signed a 1-year, $17 million deal from the Dodgers, and he's been one of the worst hitters statistically in baseball.
Love you, James. Thank you for this.
Anthony Santander, who a lot of people wanted the Mets to sign this season. He's been maybe one of the worst players in professional baseball this season. The Blue Jays waited until he went out to actually get hot. They've been only good this year when Anthony Santander has not been on the field in their lineup. 5 years, $92 million, $18.5 million a year. Everyone's favorite, Dominican uncle, Starling Marte. The last year of his 4-year, $78 million contract right now for $19.5 million a year. So there could be just a pure money swap of Mets outfielders next year, right-handed Mets outfielders of Starling Marte and Luis Robert for that $20 million. Nick Castellanos, one more year on his 5-year, $100 million contract. Brandon Nimmo makes $20 million a year, which actually I think a pretty good deal still, all things considered.
Great deal.
Ian Happ, 3 for $60, which would be less than 2 for $40 for Robert. George Springer still working down for the $25 million a year. Cody Bellinger has a similar option that can or cannot be picked up by the Yankees. I think he's a lot better than Luis Robert. I will say that.
Of course,
Clay Bell just significantly better. But then those two guys are in the market at the same time. It's like the $20 million, I think, isn't great. But I think in the context of some other outfielders who have signed some free agent contracts the last few years, I don't think it's that crazy of a number. Jurickson Profar, a 3-year, $42 million deal. He had one good year ever.
And he was fucking cheating.
Yeah.
He was juicing. And like, I think this...
Max Kepler makes $10 million.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't think the 20 million is that big. And of course, the crux of this conversation, along with the value thing, is truly if he hits.
Yeah, he's got to
If
hit.
Luis Robert continues to be the player that he has been the last 2 seasons, he's gone. But that's also, to me, I'm willing to take the risk. I don't know. I don't see the excitement of Mark Vientos like a lot of other people do. And I'm a super negative guy on him. I have been. I hate to be that guy. I thought he proved me wrong last year, and then he did this again this season. I was like, all right, well, like at some point, when do we just think he is that player? And truthfully, if we sent him off to Chicago, I hope he fucking goes off. I hope he's
in the future.
I hope he's a 3-time All-Star. I hope he's a franchise player for them. I don't wish bad things for him. I just don't think that the way that this Mets teams operate, and I think operating for the future, it makes a lot of sense to covet Mark Vientos, which I feel like a lot of Met fans, we don't know what the front office is doing, but coveting Mark Vientos for a guy who's got no defensive positional value whatsoever. We don't even know if he can really play first base. He didn't look great. I don't know how much better he's going to be. His feet are horrible, and he's never been described as a great athlete, so I don't know if his footwork is going to improve that much. That comes on the coaching. Like, I don't know how long are we going to keep playing this game with him when we have a guy out there that could alter how this team looks right now.
So there's also another part of this where it's like, what are the odds if you don't trade Mark Vientos now that he even does the entire length of his rookie contract on the Mets? Like, Mark Vientos is a guy who's a non-zero, non-tender candidate, which is
the Cubs
shitty.
Non-tendered Kyle Schwarber. Like, just
keep
that in mind.
That's fucking stupid. That's
Agreed.
That's one of the dumbest baseball moves that we've seen in the last decade. I'll say that.
Dodgers non-tendered Cody Bellinger. How about that one too?
That was also one where that was just such a bizarre situation. Who knows what happened there? But there's a lot more baseball Mark Vientos has played that doesn't look like last year than what last year was. But also seeing what happened last year, like, that's in there somewhere. But also, while what happened last year happened, it was still with a 30% strikeout rate, a 320 on base percentage. You know what I mean?
And all the underlying numbers were like, this guy's getting unbelievably lucky. We don't love what's going on here.
And something that's funny about the difference of Mark Vientos and Luis Robert Jr., just again, playing a lot of fantasy baseball, I like to use projections a lot. The opposite projection systems like each of those guys. Luis Robert Jr. has very bad projections on all of the ones that are much more stat heavy without like the, batted ball data projections, like things like Steamer, Zips, ATC, Ariel Cohen's projection system. Those all don't like Robert. They think Robert's a below league average hitter. All of those love Vientos. They think he's a 5 to 10% better than league average hitter. The flip side, the Bat X by Derek Hardy and Oopsie by Jordan Rosenblum and Eno Saris, which uses a lot more bat speed, StatCast data. Those don't like Vientos. Those see Vientos as barely a league average hitter, where they see Robert still as a 12% better than league average hitter, 10% better than league average hitter. So this is now going to be an interesting thought process of, what does this front office actually think? Do they actually value that upper minors statistical output and also what we saw Mark Vientos do in 1 year, or are they going to look for tools? Because I think that there's a lot that we've seen from this Mets front office recently, that they're a tools-based front office, and they know that we need a center fielder. Again, Tyrone Taylor's a sensational defensive player, but if you can get Luis Robert in this roster, and Tyrone Taylor then becomes like the essence of Travis Jankowski, the pinch runner, to play late inning replacement. You've elevated the bottom of this roster so fucking much in one shot. Like, in terms of 1 to 26, that's also part of this. There's an extraneous nature of Mark Vientos on this roster right now. Him and Starling Marte they're not that different, which may sound weird.
Starling Marte's playing better.
They're both right-handed hitters with no defensive value. So it's like, and one of them can run a little bit, which is funny. I give Starling Marte that credit. So it's I don't like trading major league talent to get other major league talent this time of year, but in the Mets case specifically, the roster is crunched. So it's like, it's not, I don't know. I've gone back and forth on this in my head 12 times since we started this conversation.
Now, I'll say this too. I would love to give up less than Mark Vientos. I would be happy to give up less than Mark Vientos. If they wanted, like, people have been throwing out like the combination of like Drew Gilbert and like some lower minors guy or something like that. Or Drew Gilbert and Acuna. Like, yeah, deal. I'll drive them to Chicago too. They'll play every day, and same thing. Hope they have great careers. But if the White Sox are hard and fast and steady on the fact that you're not getting Luis Robert unless you give us Mark Vientos, I don't think you can let Mark Vientos be the guy who's holding you hostage to miss out on possibly a top tier player.
Now I want to change this conversation a little bit because we've talked a lot about the two players and you made your opinion here abundantly clear.
Yes.
When a rumor like this leaks, who do you think is the one responsible? Which side? Because usually these rumors can always get traced back to one of these options. Do you think this is the Mets? Is this the White Sox? Is this Robert's agent? Is this Vientos' agent? Who, for something like this to make it out, who has the most to gain? Because I think that's the interesting part. Because is this the Mets putting more value on Mark Vientos? Like, is this? Do we think this is really real? Like, as a 1-for-1 trade? I'm trying to like put the tinfoil hat on and think about why or how this has now trickled out.
Here's why I'll say White Sox, because remember earlier in the year when the Robert rumors to the Mets first started, it was Robert for Blade Tidwell, right? That was the rumor. That's what everyone was thinking. And when we talked about on this podcast,
that was
you
also
said that's the
Nightingale,
White
right?
Sox, and that was also Nightingale.
Yeah.
So to me, I still lean White Sox, wanting that, maybe hoping that someone goes, "Oh, Mark Vientos, we got a player like that.
We could beat that.
We could beat that." The Phillies would go like, "You want Alec Boehm?" Like, is there much of a difference between Alec Boehm and Mark Vientos? Truthfully,
Yes, there is a big one.
Like, yeah, Boehm's better.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. But like in the Phillies' perspective, I'm sure they would probably make that trade as well to move Boehm for Luis Robert.
I don't think they would after that Mundo Sosa injury yesterday. They're down.
Oh, he got hurt?
Badly, yeah. He was down on the field.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay, that does change things because of roster construction. But if he was healthy, then yes.
Because that, I don't know, that's where my brain went initially, where it's like, how does this make it out? We know this Mets team also isn't that, we don't have that many leaks. I honestly thought it was possibly the Vientos camp for a tiny bit. Because it's like, you've lost your job. And we know how cutthroat arbitration is, and we just know how these teams operate. When like you're not intended or someone, it kind of puts a stink on you, even though it might not be warranted or fair. It puts a stink on you, and no one knows more about Mark Vientos than the New York Mets. Mark Vientos, as a 25-year-old, for 2 straight years, has seen a regression of his bat speed, of his general athleticism, and it's kind of like why his max exit velocity, they've trickled down every single year. It's like, why are these things going in the wrong direction right now as a 25-year-old who is just like a literal hero? They also know, and again, I don't know anything about this. This could be a good or bad thing. I'm just saying they know better than anybody else. Mark Vientos' attitude, Mark Vientos' work ethic. No one knows more about Mark Vientos than the people in the Mets building. So I think, besides like Mark Vientos himself, like, you know what I mean? Like that, wait, maybe, yeah. But like these are very interesting conversations because it's like, why, if you got hit in the head last year, October 21st, and you were in a coma until today, you woke up and you were like, the Mets are going to trade Mark Vientos. Are they insane? But also on the similar side, if you go back in time to April 1st of last year and you're like, the Mets could get Luis Robert for Mark Vientos. Holy shit. So it's like, I think that these front offices think in a much longer view than any of us fans do. And I think that's like a funny conversation this time of year because people are like, he's upping his trade value. His trade value is dead. It's like, I don't think that anything that happens on a baseball field for months, honestly, depending on if it's like really drastic, impacts the trade value of these guys. So sometimes.
So you're trying to tell me that a 6-game hitting streak in the last week of July is not upping Mark Vientos' trade value? Are you a fucking idiot?
But I'll say this. If Mark Vientos tonight hits a ball 116 miles an hour,
that ups it.
That increases trade value. Yeah, but it's about like siphoning out the noise. But I don't think like a 2-run double against Robbie Ray on Saturday does it. It's just this time of year is so much fun. Baseball is, I think, the best trade deadline. I think it's the most impact on playoff runs, on champions in any other sport. Like it's the most interesting guys moving. Biased because I know the most about them, but it's just like conversations like this are so fascinating. I don't think other sports have them.
Before we go into talking about Gregory Soto, and then you're going to take Game 3, then a series recap, I'm going to leave you with one question. How different is Mark Vientos for the rest of his career than Wilmer Flores?
That was a conversation that was happening on Friday. Well, Wilmer Flores has always been able to do something Mark Vientos hasn't demonstrated yet, and that's hit the shit out of lefties and nonstop.
And maybe this is me being, again, the hater that I am, as people would like to probably, give me that nickname for Vientos. That feels like his ceiling to me is like Wilmer Flores. And truthfully, like you could find Wilmer Flores anywhere. We had JD Davis for 2 seasons with that kind of production. Like we had,
you're for sure underselling Vientos right now.
I don't know, man. I don't know if I am.
We talk about Vientos not having great bat speed, not having the best batted ball data. It's so much better than Wilmer Flores has ever been.
But what's ever or just this year?
We got a couple of years. I mean, we only have bat speed down to 2023. And Wilmer Flores is
like
one of the slowest bats in the league.
we're seeing like 35-year-old Wilmer Flores.
We saw 30-year-old Wilmer Flores still have one of the slowest bats in the league, and Wilmer Flores has basically never had like above league average hard hit rate. Even now, while Mark Vientos is bad, he can still hit the ball hard consistently. But Wilmer Flores also, he does that intentionally because he's a contact guy. You know what I mean? That's how Wilmer Flores oftentimes for a couple months here and there pops in RISP because he just puts the ball in plays and strike out. But like in terms of physical ability, like Mark Vientos has much better offensive upside than Wilmer Flores. Much.
Okay.
I can't let you go down there. In terms of production, because there's multiple ways to skin a cat.
Yes.
That might not wind up being that different in terms of, on base percentage, OPS, kind of like ceilings and floors. I think floor Mark Vientos is still better than the Wilmer Flores floor we saw, especially last year.
Interesting.
He had 590 OPS last year and 200 plate appearances. He's terrible. That was bad.
I guess that's really bad, yeah.
And then, again, a couple bad defenders as well. Made the World Series Wilmer Flores playing shortstop, which is incomprehensible. But
okay, we don't need to talk about the World Series.
Not again. I can't do this many episodes.
We made Murph relive that.
I can't believe they played that in the room. But this is a fascinating conversation. I'm sure the Mets are going to be in some really interesting discussions this whole week.
Do you think? Okay, last two questions. Do you think the Mets trade for Luis Robert? Because there's a chance that we don't get another episode until it happens.
Yes,
I do too.
I feel like this is just a lot of the smoke, and it makes the most sense. And both teams have a real energy. It seems like they do something like this. It's just a good fit both ways. And the Mets, if it's not Vientos, we got the guys people want.
Well, then who's the player that gets moved then? If you just pick one, it doesn't have to be. You don't have to give me the full trade, but who do you think is a player that gets moved in the Luis Robert trade?
Maybe Drew Gilbert, not Vientos.
Okay. All right.
I kind of feel
I'm cool with that. Listen, I'd be happier to give up Drew Gilbert than Mark Vientos. I want that to be known.
And this is still a pro Drew Gilbert podcast, but even though he's been really hitting the ball well in AAA, the exit velocities are still not over 110, which is that line where it's like, can you be a regular?
Similarly, I'll say this. We've seen Luis Robert dominate Major League Baseball pitching. Drew Gilbert at 25 is just figuring out AAA. So when people are like, let's give Drew Gilbert a shot instead, he doesn't play the center field Robert plays. He's never been as good as Robert has been. And
still, that's us saying we still objectively like Drew Gilbert. Drew Gilbert definitely has some big time intangibles, but Luis Robert has looked like he could be an MVP caliber player at times. So Drew Gilbert does have 3 batted balls at exactly 110. That he has, this is so funny. It's 5 batted balls between 109.7 and 110.1, and those are the hardest he's hit this year. Which that's not terrible.
Bad. No.
That's not bad at all. But that's also not.
It's like harder than Nolan Arenado's hit a ball. So
harder than he's ever hit one. But that's what's the peak for. But Drew Gilbert also has a platoon advantage, so he can be a strong side guy for a long time with 20 homer power if you extrapolate it for 162. But it's just Luis Robert has a top end, and like you said, it's so wide open right now. I'm in to take some shots. Like why? Yeah. Like I don't know. Like just you should let the dice roll.
Now talk about taking some shots. Mets took a shot. Gregory Soto traded a couple prospects. I know I tweeted out that this is my nightmare. Just to clarify why I say it's my nightmare. It's just because when the Phillies originally traded for Gregory Soto, I was giving them a lot of shit and a lot of Philly fan shit for pretending like he was this elite all-star closer. So there's a lot of tweets out there of me talking about Gregory Soto very, very poorly. That's why it's my nightmare. Objectively speaking, this is a plus trade for the Mets. The Mets got a good left-handed reliever in their bullpen. He's going to walk a ton of guys, which is going to drive people insane. And I have my fingers crossed that this is going to work out. I have my doubts about it. I'm not over the moon trying to pretend like this is the biggest move the Mets ever made and they're going to turn him into one of the most dominant left-handed relievers in baseball. But he throws 100 miles an hour from the left side with sink. Like, that's very valuable to this team.
With a good slider, too. Gregory Soto will have some issues against righties because the whole thing is just, it's sinker sweep. It's sinker slider, which, again, it's not that's as great, and he has been relatively effective against righties for basically his entire career, and he's going to have to get righties out. But the big part of this trade is just the fact that you want to win the division, you have to get Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper out.
Yes.
So you just have to do it. It's also funny.
And I do trust him better against Harper Schwarber than I do Brooks Raley, who I want Brooks Raley.
Yeah.
Like,
more platoon neutral.
Yes.
And so the fastball specs aren't really good. Like his fastball actually gets some natural sink and some cut on it or some run. It's still 97 miles an hour. 97 miles an hour is never going to be a gimme. People say if it's straight, who cares? But it's like it's 97 miles an hour. You have a better chance hitting 94 than 97. There's no doubt
every
about
time.
That.
Yeah.
Yes. But again, shape can change that. But it's totally a fine trade. Some people in the Mets community, again, we always shout out our boy Isaac, the pitching savant. If I'm the pitching whisperer, Isaac is the pitching messiah. Some people were a little bit upset by Wellington Arcena leaving in this trade. We've talked about Wellington Arcena a few times in the prospect reports here. He's a 20-year-old who throws like 100 with some cut, with a cutter, with a slider. Like he's got some serious juice. I think some people around the league think that the Orioles did well in getting a pitcher with that much, in firm air quotes, potential for a guy like Gregory Soto, who's just, again, a reliever rental. But at the same time, better than 50% chance Arcena becomes reliever in the major leagues in 5 years. So you trade the reliever later to get the reliever now. It's a no-brainer deal.
Yeah, no, taking a chance, definitely worth it. I like that the Mets jumped the reliever market early, too, before we start to see some crazy, crazy prices, because I have a feeling, as it always does, as we get closer to that deadline,
Crazy.
you're going to be like, who's traded for who? I mean, never forget the Mets trade deadline stream that we've done.
Yeah, I mean, I should schedule that clip of us talking about Pico Armstrong.
It's in the bookmarks. I watched it with shout out SRS Mike. I was like, I still have this morning when we woke up. We were talking about trade deadline stuff and just like what we think the Mets could be doing, and I was like, we have that clip bookmarked. Shout out, I think El Troll tweeted that at us.
Yeah,
and it's just. I'm like, we trade PCA, and you're like, oh, it just ruined my entire day. Like,
I'll pipe it in here, but I think we had some more colorful language than that. But also,
yes.
that's going to be scheduled for trade deadline morning. So
every other guy on their roster. It was a really brilliant trade. It was the type of sideways move that.
Shut the fuck up.
We gave up Pete Crow? Oh, damn it. Shit. That's too much.
Fuck. Can I say that?
Yeah.
Okay. Shit.
Oh, I don't like that.
I don't like that at all. I'm off. I'm done with the trade now. Now I'm upset. That's that. I'm excited for more trade deadline stuff. I'm excited for you to get back from Portland so we can just do a lot of trade deadline. No, you're going to do a lot of trade deadline content yourself too. It's just like it's so much fucking fun. I think I'm going to do a trade deadline
Christmas.
It's incredible, especially when your team is in it, which we're lucky to be, and we got a good shot right now. And I'm going to tell you guys quickly about Game 3 of the series. Wrap it up. All right, nice Game 3 recap here. Little James Shiano, Mike Francesa solo podcast style. I was so excited by Ronny Mauricio at the top. I had to just wedge that into the beginning, but now I got a lot more things to talk about. Some good, some bad, some really good, some whatever. But like Kodai Senga, another start where the stuff was good, but the command wasn't very good. Like he was still a magician. He still got out of all the jams. It was just Matt Chapman that got the better of him twice. But just there were so many walks. He got himself into trouble so many times, threw so many pitches he didn't really need to throw, which kind of hurt his ability to have a chance to go deep in this game. And a lot of it came from the fastball command. Like a lot of those fastballs were just either way out of the zone and not that competitive, or right in the heart of the zone. One of those fastballs in the heart of the zone, Matt Chapman crushed. He crushed another cutter directly down the middle as well. And a lot of the fastballs were hit hard in general. Like it's hard to... I'm not like nervous or scared about Kodai, but there's a lot of stuff that we talked about during the first half, during like when he was kind of trying to get out of these things, he didn't really look right, and now coming back from the injury, it just kind of hopes that he can smooth all of this out. But there definitely are, again, not like causes for concern, but just things that are stopping Kodai right now from being the frontline starter we kind of really want him and need him to be. But all of that kind of got washed away because the bullpen was ridiculous this series. A full series shutout from the bullpen is so cool. Edwin did make it sweaty in the end, but we just know he's an adrenaline junkie. He wanted to load the bases just so he could have his fun and get those big strikeouts to close it out. Buteau looked nasty. Also, again, really nice to see him. I know a couple appearances ago wasn't that good, but he's a big piece in this pen. And Gregory Soto, new Met Gregory Soto, such an awesome inning. I love that Mendoza gave him the top of the order as his assignment because there was two lefties there with Jung Hoo Lee and Rafael Devers, and he just passed it with flying colors. What am I talking about? It's weird doing this alone. This is crazy. But the 10-pitch at-bat to Devers, too, was really cool, winning that battle. Lots and lots of sliders and sinkers over and over again, hitting a lot of spots. Also something really cool Gregory Soto did in this outing. I mentioned that with Jung Hoo Lee and Devers. Those were the two lefties. That was why Soto had the inning. But in between them was Elio Ramos. Elio Ramos is a really good right-handed hitter. And that was the only righty Soto was due to face that inning. First pitch of the at-bat. Soto started him out with a little get-me-over backdoor sweeper. Kind of felt like an innocuous pitch, an innocuous decision, just a good way to get strike run. But that was the first pitch sweeper that Gregory Soto has thrown to a right-handed batter this entire season. So that's kind of like the pitching lab working fast. Just a little bit of game planning, a little bit of adjustment, a little bit of an idea, something new that Gregory Soto was able to work in already in his first appearance with the Mets. That helped this inning a lot because you get ahead of Soto, then I think he wound up having him 0-2, and he just destroyed him with a back foot slider. Super nasty. Also, I feel bad for the left-handed hitters who ever have to play in Oracle Park. I guess it didn't really matter for Juan Soto and Ronny Mauricio because, we got those guys together, but Jeff got robbed so badly of that home run that would have, I don't remember if it would have tied the game, if it would have put us ahead, but they showed the graphic on the ESPN2 StatCast broadcast that the home run would have been like 20 feet over the fence into the bullpen in Citi Field. But instead, it just hit the wall, and Jeff only got a double. Didn't even get a triple because I don't remember if that was Jung-Hoo Lee or Yastrzemski who fielded that ball, but they wound up fielding it really well. And again, Francisco Alvarez, 2 more hard hit balls, looked very back, another extra base hit. With the bottom of the order clicking like that, like if we get a good version of Alvarez, Mauricio just, again, obscene, and like the consistency that we've had from Beatty for basically the last 2 months now, and then we get Winker back, and then we still have McNeil that bridges the top to the bottom. It's just, there's so many more places this team can go if this lineup gets like fully cohesive and has these rallies, the top guys carrying, the bottom guys supplementing, and then also with the bullpen. A scoreless series from the bullpen is crazy. Reed Garrett was nasty again too. Like, this is awesome right now. Really great win. Really great sweep. Like, we should be feeling so good about this team now heading into the series with the Padres.
Excellent job, Mr. Schiano. Well done. A little Colin Cowherd solo show. We've each had a solo game 3 now, so we're even. Yeah. That's like one whole episode together. Let's go ahead and preview the next series up against the San Diego Padres. James, we got pitching matchups. What are we looking at?
Yep, so pitching matchups this series against the Padres. Monday, 9:40 start. Midnight Mets are back. Bit of an ace-off here. Frankie Montas versus Dylan Cease, if Dylan Cease is still in the Padres by then.
What if Dylan Cease is on the Mets?
Just walk over locker rooms, trade them away like Joel Youngblood. Tuesday, July 29th. Well, I don't know why I just said the date. That was insane. Now another 9:40 start
so
time.
Weird.
That was weird. That was a brain-breaking moment. Shomanai versus Yu Darvish. And then Wednesday, 4:10 start. Wednesday, 4:10 is kind of a nice little start time there. Clay Holmes versus Nick Pivetta. A couple other relievers have gone to rotation. I'm curious about what happens to this home start again after the 100 pitches on regular rest. With the off day the next day, I'm wondering if the Mets get a little funky with that Clay Holmes start. But that being said, big series against the Padres, a team that we're close to in the standings. They started the season very, very hot. And a lot of people were like, this is it. This year the Padres are all coming together. But it also kind of felt very incomplete from them the whole time. We've said it before, I'll say it again. The Padres are that meme of the horse, with the back of the horse is drawn, shaded beautifully. The front of the horse is like a square. That's who this roster is. So it's the first 2 innings, you're like, oh my God, we need a break. Third inning, you're like, oh, chill. Nice, cool. Martin Maldonado.
You see Fernando Tatis, Jackson Merrill, Manny Machado, and your boy X, Xander Bogaerts, have been swinging the bat well recently.
On fire.
Like those 4 hitters, you're like, okay.
And playing shortstop, Xander Bogaerts.
Yeah, playing well at shortstop.
Yes.
Good defense. You're like, okay, lock in. And then I'm not going to mention any other names because I would never do that on this podcast. But you sort of get to the rest of the lineup, and then all of a sudden, like, it's very disjointed. One guy we definitely will be seeing, though. Oh, my God. We're going to see a little Jose Iglesias. And I promise you he's going to do something big in this series.
Definitely. I'm excited for the rash of Mets creators to post their Iglesias tweets this whole week, all this stuff. I'm also excited for the the crazy Mets fans to be like, this. We could have used this all year when he gets one big hit, totally ignoring the fact that he has a 290 on base percentage, a 65 WRC plus. He's been a negative player in terms of wins above replacement. Definitely very vindicating move for the David Stearns front office, being like, of course we're not going to bring this guy back just for the hit single that he made. While it was amazing at the time, and I will not trade any of the feelings from the 2024 Mets ever. Again, loser talk, one of the most fun baseball seasons of my life. Very, very great move that Brett Beatty had that roster spot instead of Jose Iglesias. I can't even imagine how much better it actually is.
Yeah, no. And the reason James said those stats is because we've already told you he's going to do something big, so there's no jinx on our side there.
He's guaranteed getting a big hit. He's going to get a big hit, run scoring position. The Mets will lose at least one game in this series, and it will be directly related to Jose Iglesias getting a big hit.
If we were doing the DraftKings player spotlight, I'd be spotlighting Jose Iglesias and hit all the overs.
So here's another funny thing about the Padres. Can you name any player on their bench right now? Their active bench. They have a 4-player active bench. And I'll even give you the fact that I'll give you the 3-player active bench because they have a pretty even catching tandem of Martin Maldonado and Elias Diaz, who've been just...
That was going to be my cop-out. All right.
Yeah. Can name
Brandon
one player on their
Lockridge?
bench. No, actually not right now. He's not on the bench. I think he's down AAA.
Jose Iglesias obviously is on the bench.
Jose Iglesias has been playing basically every single day at second base.
Where's Jake Cronenworth? Is he hurt?
Jake Cronenworth's playing first.
Where's Luis Ariz?
DH, brother.
That's right. I forgot. He's one of the best hitters of this generation.
He's also been playing a lot of first. Cronenworth, what I'm saying. I got this.
Who else
Cronenworth's
can be on
mixed
this
in
bench?
second and first. It's been a mix up, but
what about is our boy Mason McCoy? He's a Met killer. Is he there?
Luckily not, but that could change by Monday. But yeah, no, Mason McCoy.
Tyler
and,
Wade?
Tyler Wade, you got one. You got one member of the San Diego
Yes.
Padres bench. And I'll say this too.
That guy fumbled Alex Earl.
The next two guys, Tyler Wade, the Tyler Wade stories. But the next two guys, you should start just throwing out names of players that you think could be creative players that will be the show. Because you don't know who these guys are.
I'm gonna go 3 names.
Uh-huh.
Give me. I'm gonna throw out Joe Thompson.
No, think about more like dude perfect names.
Okay. Garrett Williams.
On the right track, but no. But these are funny first names and basic last names.
Okay, funny first names. Give me like a Jackson, another Jackson. Give me another Jackson.
No Jackson.
Okay, one more crazy funny name. Give me like a Brandon, not like Brandon, but like combining Braden and Brandon.
There's a B, but it's not that. And there's the other name does have an N in the middle in a weird spot, so you're getting warmer.
Give me the names. Give me the names.
Yeah, that was too good at podcasting. We have left-handed hitter, first baseman / outfielder, Trenton Brooks. And then we have switch hitting outfielder who's mixed in at left, not a center fielder by trade, apparently, Bryce Johnson.
These are people.
Those are the that's the San Diego Padres bench right now. It's Elias Diaz or Martin Maldonado, whoever doesn't have the privilege to catch that day. Trenton Brooks, Tyler Wade, and Bryce Johnson.
Oh, they're gonna fucking kill us.
They're gonna crush us. And then again, but this team is still a good team. The top of this order,
yes,
Tatis, Arias is going to be really annoying. Mark's gonna get some takes off. Machado, Jackson Merrill swung it better. Bogarts, Gavin Sheets. What do you know? Another White Sox castoff who's having the best season of his entire career.
Get him out of that hellhole and he starts hitting. Oh no.
Cronenworth in the Crone zone. And then the pitching staff has been, while again, kind of a meme, the front of it's great. Nick Pavetta's had a resurgent breakout season for like $4 fucking million. Pisses me off every single day for the Padres. Dylan Cease has been the unluckiest pitcher in baseball this season. If someone is able to pry him away from the Padres before the second half, he could be a guy that really changes the playoff picture, I think. And then Darvish just came back after a long layoff. The stuff has not looked good, but I'm still willing to trust Darvish, especially against the Mets, because he completely torments us time after time. And
maybe they'll let him get some swings in.
Maybe. And God, actually, no. I mean, honestly, I'd rather. I'm not gonna say that. Fuck it. If I jinx it, I jinx it. Whatever. I'd rather see the Bryce Johnson at bat than Darvish at bat. Whatever. I don't give a fuck at this point. Also, on top of that, the back of the Padres bullpen is awesome.
Yes.
Robert Suarez has been up and down, but like when he's up, he throws 100. Great fastball, changeup. Jason Adam, Adrian Morejon, Jeremiah Estrada has a sick ass fastball. David Morgan's mixed in. I don't think he's been as great though. Wandy Peralta, Magic Wandy.
Wandy.
This team is as strange as they are, they're still good.
Do you think that they're going to have a new player on the team during the series while we play them?
Maybe, but I don't know how Preller gets that guy. What's going? How does he? There's no one left. There's no one left to trade.
Who can he convince that Ethan Salas is actually a good prospect? Because I know it would be Pipeline. He's convinced them. I'm interested to see what team he can fleece for that guy.
That was a rumor that I seemed like very clearly went up from the Padres. I wanted to say the Dylan Cease for Ethan Salas, Dylan Cease and Ethan Salas for Jarren Duran.
Yeah, like why the fuck would the Red Sox ever take that?
I was gonna say the flip side of that. I think if I'm the Red Sox, I would just take the Dylan Cease. I think you overrate Jarren Duran.
Maybe. I don't know. You talk about years of control. They got years of control of him.
That's true. And then again, one thing the Padres need, which is rare, it's just they need a corner outfielder. Like they need air to breathe. So that's another piece of that too. But I don't. He's like Jarren Duran's he's a weird value guy.
I'm gonna tell you that I think you're gonna have to tune in or chime in Frankie Peppers as well. This is a little reminder. So definitely a little Frankie Peppers. So I'm now gonna let Frankie Peppers come in.
All right, everybody, here we go. We got Frankie Peppers.
Gentlemen, this is Frankie Peppers. How you doing? I'm in my car right now, coming back from Philadelphia. I went undercover. I went behind enemy lines at Citizens Bank Park. City Field is way better, but I got to see the Banana Boys play some baseball. And it was a really fun game. I had no idea what was happening, and it rained a lot. So we left after the 8th inning because they stopped the game. It really stinks so bad that Citizens Bank Park couldn't even do like a full game. It was despicable. No, for real, it was a good time. I saw Gritty, and I like Gritty. Gritty's a good guy. But what a series win. What a sweep by our boys. Everyone's looking really good right now. And I'm sorry, I'm just paying attention. I'm on the Jersey Turnpike here. Hey, somebody try to merge into my lane.
Was that the end? Oh my God. Wait, 4 more seconds.
I'm going to pay attention to the road boys. I'll talk to you soon. Let's go, Mets.
We got Frankie Peppers on the scene at the Bananas in Citizens Bank Park. We almost had some live road rage for Frankie Peppers. I just can't. I love Frankie Peppers. If you're listening to this, I love you so much. Thank you for the voicemail.
And now I'm back as the magic of editing. That's it for this episode, guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the Messed Up Podcast YouTube channel so you don't miss any of the episodes. And remember, shout out our members. You get all the episodes early. And
we need to do a member live stream. We got to do one. We
owe
owe
you
one
guys
so
some
bad.
content so badly. So we're going to be doing that. Appreciate all the members over there. If you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. You can follow James on social media at
James Shiano.
I'm Giraffe Neck Mark with a C. Thank you guys for listening and watching. We will catch you all on the next episode. Let's go Mets. Peace out.
Let's go Mets, baby. See you guys next time.